What it do, y'all? What's up?
Welcome back.
Hi, we're back.
Yeah, we're recording a little earlier than we would have. We're doing our what would you call this? Marathon recording.
Yeah, that's what we always do. We always record like 3-4 episodes at a time.
But I was like, I'm bored. Do you want to record tonight?
You have shit to do next weekend, though.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm going to see Sierra Farrell in Louisville next weekend. So
nice.
By the time you're hearing this, I'll have already been.
Yeah.
And it was probably a good time, I'll imagine. I hope so.
Maybe she'll give us a review on Facebook or TikTok or something. Maybe, just maybe. What's been going on in your life?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Well, I went to see Dita Von Teese.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I've never experienced anything like that in my life.
Yeah.
And I hope to get to do it again. But up close. I was in the balcony.
Yeah.
So.
Very cool.
The theater was really beautiful. And, fun fact, it's haunted.
Nice!
Because, like, the week leading up to, there's a channel I watch on YouTube called The Speakeasy. And they posted a video of...
sorry, I hit the table.
The Louisville Palace Theater being haunted. And I was like, I'm watching that for sure. Because if I'm going there... There was a lot of stairs. But it was okay. It was nice. We got to park right behind the theater.
Well, that's just preparing you to get ready for T-Swizzle.
Yeah.
Update.
Yes.
I didn't think I was ever going to say this on this podcast.
Say it. Spit it out.
I've been listening to a few T-Swizzle songs.
That's how I got started.
And I don't hate them.
Which ones?
Bitch. I couldn't tell you. Something about ghosts. I don't know. They came up on a playlist I was talking about.
It's probably from Midnights, which honestly I think is her best.
I don't fucking remember which songs it was, but they're not awful. I'm not hooked.
Not a Swiftie, but
I'm not a Swiftie. They're not awful. I won't immediately be like, fuck this when it comes on a playlist now.
Right.
I'll give it a good 15 seconds.
It's not all terrible. I mean, there is still some songs that like I don't know
now,
or
listen,
because I wasn't there from the beginning.
Right. Now there's a few of her like older songs.
And like honestly, if I ever hear "Shake It Off" again, I might puke.
Yeah, I'll fucking lose
like,
it. That's Jenna's favorite song. That's her pre-soccer game pump-up song.
Like, it's good, and that's really what sucked me in the first place. But, so,
it's
doing too much.
Driving the other day, and one of her songs came on. And it's an older one, and I'm singing along to it, and I was like, fuck this is a fucking bop. But it was that I was riding shotgun with my hair undone in the front seat of his car.
That's like the girl that I'm going to see Taylor Swift with. We were messaging, and like both her and I have like we're elder emos. And she was like, I don't know why I spent so much time hating her. She was like, Teardrops on My Guitar is a fucking bop.
I can get with some of her older shit. I really just haven't given her newer shit an opportunity. I don't guess. I just think that I just made an assumption that I didn't like her from jump because
I mean
the hype.
Right. Well, also too, there's been in the past a lot of drama surrounding her. Yeah. And I think that a lot of people that turns them off, whether or not her music's good. But like, I really think you would like the Folklore and Evermore era, because it's more.
It's possible. I'm not mad at it, but well. So that covers you. Yeah. We've been doing a whole lot of nothing. My youngest two are playing soccer. We start soccer practice this coming week.
Fun.
My middle and oldest have decided they want to get their hands wet in softball a little bit, so we're going to start working now to get them ready for next spring, so spring of 2024. Yeah. We went today and bought some of the equipment that we need. And I'm very excited about it because, in case you, the listeners, did not know, softball was my life growing up. I played since I was from the age of 5 to like 18. So yeah, it was really hurtful that none of my children were playing.
And now they are.
Well, we're dipping.
They're now wanting to.
Yeah,
they're showing interest.
We're dipping our toes in a little bit. But yeah, that's about all.
I know we had somebody who come into work last week, and like his daughter does travel ball.
Yeah.
And he was like, it's a commitment.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like you've got something going on at all times.
Yeah.
And it's very
and
expensive,
like we do,
and you're traveling
all
like, the fucking time.
We used to do, there was a travel ball team called Vexus, and we used to do all of their stuff.
Yeah.
They're defunct now. But I mean, it was like, they spent a lot of money with us. Absolutely.
And
that was just for jackets and ball bags.
Right. I didn't do travel ball growing up. I just played like recreational league. We just didn't have the resources for me to be able to play travel ball. I did sit in on a tournament or two with a friend of mine. They needed a pickup player. And that was fun. It was a lot of fun, and I wish I could have done it, but I was very happy with what I did. And I'm just excited that my girls are thinking about it. That's going to be a good time. But yeah, so that's...
Maddie played a little bit.
She was there for the social aspect.
Yeah, I was going to say, she didn't seem to really enjoy it a lot.
No, she did not. She was there for the social aspect. I spent the majority of the time watching her ride the bench.
Yeah.
The year or two that she played that I didn't coaching for me. I would love to coach older girls. But the little ones, I have zero patience for, because I'm like, I need you to already have that base knowledge, because we gonna add on to that. That's where it's fun. But let's get on with it. This week, we're gonna talk to you guys a little bit about some superstitions. Different superstitions. Now, I think Brittany's superstitions are a little bit widespread.
Yeah.
Not just here. Mine are mainly Southern superstitions, because I love Southern superstitions.
Yeah, I did kind of like a global...
Yeah. I read through just
so we didn't like double up.
But some of these I had heard of. Some of these I had not. This first one is probably one of my favorite superstitions. Painting your porch ceiling haint blue.
Yeah.
That good old haint paint. So if you've ever taken a trip to the Deep South, I personally have seen it when we went to Savannah, Georgia, this past fall, or past summer rather.
Yeah.
You may have noticed when you took that trip that some of the ceilings on the porches are painted like a blue.
Yeah.
It's generally kind of like a lighter blue. This is a Southern folklore turned tradition that was intended to ward off evil spirits. People believe that haints, H-A-I-N-T-S for you listeners that can't understand my accent, or angry spirits would attempt to get into homes, and it was thought that souls couldn't cross water. Therefore, people would make watery blue-green colored paints and paint their porch ceilings to trick the ghost, and coined the phrase haint paint.
Yeah.
Now, when we went to Savannah, we took like a ghost tour, and the tour guide was talking about one of the buildings that does have haint paint on it, and she was like, it has to be made with this and this and this, and then I think she even said that it like had to contain like chicken blood or some shit like that, and it had to be blessed by a voodoo priestess. That is not always the case.
I don't think I've never heard all that before.
No, that is not always the case.
It's like I have plans to paint the ceiling of my porch,
right,
with like a blue haint paint.
Yeah,
and I've got friends that I've attempted to convince, because they've got a little farmhouse, and it's like the most perfect porch in the world, and I'm like, you should paint this blue, and they're like, no.
Well, I did read that. And my source for this one, styleblueprint.com and franklinpainting.com. I read on franklinpainting.com that haint blue paint was first used by African slaves in the South, according to the Gullah culture, which reminded me, do you remember that show?
Gullah Gullah Island?
Yes, girl.
Yes.
That was my shit. Man, Mama, if you're listening, I know you're getting
show.
excited too.
I loved
Me
that show.
Fucking too. Fucking Binya Pollywog.
Yes.
But anyway, in Gullah culture, the color haint blue is representative of water, and even evil spirits aren't able to pass over the water. Gullah culture is from a group of people in the coastal areas of like Georgia, South Carolina, North Florida, who are of African ancestry. But yeah, haint paint, it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
I say that I've always heard of haint paint.
Yeah, I've not been really like super aware of its origins, but I have had heard the term.
I had always heard of it, but when we took that tour in Savannah and she mentioned something about it, she started talking about the blue color. She never said haint paint.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, does anybody know why they would paint the ceiling of this porch blue? And everybody's just kind of standing there, and I'm like, it's haint paint. It keeps the spirits from coming over because they can't cross water, and that's blue, therefore it looks like water. And she was like, she just looked at me like, I can't believe you knew that. It was interesting. Okay, so the next one that I've got, I like this one. I've never experienced this one. It's not really my culture, but I've heard of it, and a lot of you are probably going to know exactly what I'm talking about when I start talking about it. StyleBlueprint.com and Exemplar.com is where I got this one from. Covering your mirrors and stopping the clock when someone dies.
I have. It's like, doesn't that go back to like Victorian era?
Maybe.
I know they would cover mirrors.
Yeah.
I don't know about clocks, but they would cover mirrors with a black cloth specifically.
Right. So, have you ever seen the Southern fucking classic movie, Fried Green Tomatoes?
Oh, absolutely.
We were probably not going to be friends anymore if you said no. But anyway, so you've seen, and spoiler alert for any of those that you have not seen it and are going to, sorry.
I also have the book somewhere.
When Ruth died, Sipsy covered all the mirrors in the house and stopped all the clocks.
Yeah.
So, when you were watching that, did you know why they did that?
I feel like I did. I may not, like, whenever the first time I saw it was, because I was probably really young. It may not have, like, registered, but as I got older, I noticed that.
Right.
Yeah, and
it may, too, be one of those details that you see them do and you just don't think anything about it.
Yeah.
This Southern superstition is actually deeply rooted in Jewish tradition.
Oh.
Called the week-long mourning period of sitting Shiva.
Mm-hmm.
As we've discussed in past episodes, traditions and superstitions often get blended with other cultures and merge with variations of the original with different cultural importance.
Mm.
With this superstition, covering the mirrors after someone passes will prevent the soul of the deceased from getting trapped in the glass when they see their own reflection. I would also like to note here that I've seen it also said it's so that mourners don't have to see how they look when they're mourning.
Yeah, I could see that.
I understand that completely.
Yeah.
Because I am not a pretty crier.
Me either. I'm an ugly-ass crier.
Some traditions also say that the next person to see their reflection in that mirror will be the next person to die.
Oh.
Also, I've heard it said that the reflection in the mirror is the ability to see one's soul. I personally have noticed that when I take a good long look in the mirror, you're just really like staring at yourself in the mirror.
Yeah.
That you start seeing someone that's not what you see on the normal.
Yeah.
Your perception kind of warps or changes.
Mm-hmm. I could see that.
So I somehow, maybe that's somehow seeing what's, seeing your soul.
Yeah.
The clock portion of this, though, there are several explanations that I could find as to why tradition has people literally stopping time when death happens. I was really proud of myself for thinking of Some say it's so that the ones mourning can mourn without worrying how long that they've been mourning. Stopping the clock allows the soul of the newly departed to move on into the afterlife without feeling rushed. One tradition that began in Germany and Great Britain says that when a person dies, time stands still for that person as they are now a being. How do I want to word that? Time stands still for that person because they are now in a timeless existence. Time does not exist for them anymore. In this tradition, it's bad luck if the clocks are not stopped. Some cultures say that if the clock continues, the deceased spirit will remain in the house to haunt forever. I think the most logical explanation of this is to record the time of death, especially for those like in the deep south where it takes the coroner or the doctors or whoever to make it to the body.
Yeah.
So, they die and then it might be 2-3 hours before anybody can get to them.
Right.
So that's, a good way to keep up with time of death for them.
Yeah.
This next one, I'd never heard. This one also came from styleblueprint.com. Never leave a rocking chair rocking. So when I think about perfect southern living, I think a big, beautiful farmhouse with a wraparound porch where I can enjoy both sunrise and sunset and the comfort of a comfortable rocking chair, because we both know not all rocking chairs are very comfortable.
No.
But in this superstition, you may want to be careful when it's time to go back inside to refill your coffee, because this Irish-born tradition states that when you get up from your rocking chair, if you leave it to rock by itself, it's inviting a spirit to come in and rock in it.
Oh.
That also could be inviting death into your life.
Oh. No, thank you. That settles it. I'm for sure getting rid of the rocking chair that's currently in the living room.
I mean,
it's comfortable, but I want to get rid of it anyway. I kind of hate it. It's hard to get out of. I got bad knees.
That's my chair.
You can fucking have it then.
Where the fuck am I going to put it?
I don't know.
Look, I think I had made it this whole episode without dropping the F-bomb until just now. Look at me.
Your mom will be proud.
No, I already said it. Fuck. Anyways, this next one that I found, you and I both have had conversations about this.
Mm-hmm.
Bottle trees.
Yes.
Since I was a little girl, I've always dreamed of having beautiful, elaborate live oak trees covered in Spanish moss in my yard. Yeah. Now, here where we live, it's not possible because it's not humid enough. I love Spanish moss. I give zero fucks that it's got all kinds of nasty critters and shit in it.
I was going to say, aren't you, not supposed to touch it?
No, you're not supposed to touch it.
Because it's, apparently really gross.
Right. But in the South, you may see people hang glass bottles of all colors and shapes and sizes on the limbs of the trees.
I want one. Same. Really bad.
This tradition's been passed down through time. I've seen very beautiful and elaborate bottle trees where they're literally just tying string from limb to bottle and the bottles are just kind of hanging. And then too, when you get a nice breeze coming through, they clink together and they sound real pretty. But I've seen literal trees made out of lumber. And then have little pegs where you just stick the bottle ends, through on the pegs. But this tradition states that evil spirits would be attracted to the pretty colors and lights that are reflected off the glass and get trapped in the bottles, never to be able to bother you or your household ever. But yeah, this is still very much a goal for me to do because I love it. I've
got a super elaborate garden planned for the front of my house.
Oh, girl.
So
bottle tree.
Yeah, I want one in there.
I'm gonna skip over this next one and come back to it because I have a personal story on this one. Pictures falling off the walls. This one came from exemplar.com. Have you ever had, because you've got millions of shit hanging on your walls.
Yeah, I'm a maximalist. I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, if I see the color of the wall, like, shining through and it's like a big spot of it, I gotta put something there.
Gotta cover it.
I can't just, why be boring when I could, like, have all this cool shit to look at?
Have you ever had one of your pictures fall?
Yeah, because I live...
With no explanation?
Oh, no. No.
Or even a framed picture sitting on a shelf or a table or something just fall over.
Yes. That I have had happen.
It's said that this is a terrible foreshadowing to one or more party in that picture. No. Especially if the glass is broken. If just one person in the picture, or if it is just one person in the picture, they might want to get to work on that bucket list quickly. Mm. If it's a picture of a couple, breakup's about to go down. Mm. If it's a group picture, that's a pretty scary situation because it's like Russian roulette with fate.
Shit.
It could be one person will fall into some bad luck, but it could also be the whole damn group. Everybody's just going to have to wait it out and figure it out.
No.
Here's one that I always thought was just something stupid that we always said as kids.
Yeah.
Splitting the pole.
Yeah.
StyleBlueprint.com says that it's a very... like long running tradition. You know, when you're walking down the street holding somebody's hand, you never want to let go when you come to like some kind of pole or something. Mm-hmm. You just walk around it together and, you know, continue holding hands. You don't want to split that connection. Mm-hmm. In folklore, if you do let that pole split your bond, then the bond will be split apart in your relationship. But if there's no choice and you have to let go, it's said that if you say bread and butter while you let go together, it will keep the separation in life from happening. This is because it's not easy to remove butter from bread once it's spread across it.
So, fun fact, like, ever since I was little, like, my mom did that with us. Like, as you were telling that story, I was remembering... We went to Wisconsin to visit my great-grandparents, and across, like... diagonal from them was like the old railroad tracks, and there was a little bridge, and it had just like a metal pole up in the middle of it so people wouldn't drive down. So anytime that, like, say my mom was walking with one of us holding our hand, and she would like still hold our hand but go over the pole and say bread and butter, and I never knew why we did that, but I have
now you know
I've kept it up.
Now you know. How many times have we, like, back in the day with our friend that we were so close with there for a while?
Yeah.
How many times would we, like, be walking through just screwing around and, like, one of us be holding his arm or some shit and come up to a pole and he'd be like, we can't split the pole. So you've heard the tradition of breaking a mirror brings 7 years of bad luck. So this one is not necessarily a Southern tradition. I did find this one on worldhistory.com. Mirrors are believed at one time to be able to show a soul's reflection. It's also said that if a baby were to look into a mirror and see its reflection, it would also see its own death, as the baby's soul is not fully developed. In the same, vampires cannot see themselves in a mirror because they don't have a soul. Which makes sense. Like, when I saw that, I was like, fuck, I've always wondered why that's a thing. It's also believed in some cultures that one can see the future in a mirror. With that said, the superstition of over 1,000 years makes sense. Tracing roots back to ancient Roman and Greek societies, the act of breaking a mirror is seen as a warning of bad luck. Romans believed in the human cycles changing every 7 years. Thus, when a person breaks a mirror, one of the 7-year cycle is undone. They believed that all of the health cycles that person would have combined, or all of the health cycles that a person has would combine, and kind of, that's what makes their soul.
Yeah. So
when you break that mirror and you have bad luck, that person now has a damaged soul. But don't worry, because bad luck can be broken too. Wait several hours before picking up the pieces, keeping in mind that each piece represents a year of bad luck. Take the pieces and bury them outside in the moonlight. It would be super lucky for you if this were to happen either on a new moon or full moon. For me, the new moon represents a fresh beginning of a new cycle where anything is possible and we set our strong intent on what we want in the coming month. The full moon provides some serious power to harness, though. Some of my best manifestations have come from calling on the full moon, as it's the apex of the cycle and we're gearing up for things to kind of calm down and level out. So keep in mind, you break a mirror, just wait a couple hours, pick up those pieces carefully one by one, and then go bury them bitches outside at night under the moon. I have two more. Okay. This one I told you we were going to discuss. So don't put your purse on the floor. Yeah. This one comes from Style Blueprint. Brittany, I went to go shut the door. Brittany's purse was hanging on the door. She was like, you can just, and I was like, I'm not putting it on the floor. And she just looked at me like I had three heads. And I'm like, I'll explain it in a minute. Aside from keeping your purse from getting dirty and germy on the floor, you don't want to put it there. I had never heard this until I read it, to be honest.
I mean, I've always kind of made a habit to not set it in the floor. Like, I always put it on a table or hang it on a doorknob. Right.
I'm really bad about doing it. Like, my purse generally stays on the floor beside of my desk. Yeah. I'm really bad about doing it. Notice, though, that it's not on the floor now. I'm the worst about keeping it on the floor. But your purse or wallet can be seen as a symbol of wealth. Superstition says that it should stay at waist level or above, as anything lower is disrespectful for matters of finances and a beacon to the bringers of future financial distress. Now, the one that I said I was going to skip and come back to, because I have a story. I got this one from millersguild.com. Birds flying in your house. Many different cultures state that a bird flying into your house from outside signifies illness or worse, death. I've seen this in Celtic cultures. I know that in Irish cultures, if a wild bird is hanging out inside or above your house, death or illness could be coming for the women in the family. If a bird is tapping or looking through a window, this could be an indication of death coming to the family. I actually, like I said, have a story about this one. When I was in labor with my oldest, my then mother-in-law, now ex-mother-in-law, rest her soul, love her, miss her.
She was really nice. She was really sweet. Last words out of her mouth to me before she passed was that she loved me, that she still loved me. We still had a really good relationship. But she told me that the whole time I was in labor with Maddie, that a red bird was attacking the windows, trying to get into her house the whole damn time. It scared her so fucking bad. Yeah. She didn't tell me until it was all said and done and we were home. Yeah. Now, let me just add that I think chances are it was just fighting its own reflection, because that whole back wall of that house is like tinted windows. Yeah. To where it's like got a mirror effect. So it was probably just fighting its own reflection. Yeah. But she said it was trying its damnedest to get in that house the whole damn time. And she said it scared me so bad because I just knew. And I will say labor with her was fairly easy. It wasn't anything dramatic. I was in labor for forever. She was 3 days late. And I went into labor. My water broke at Opry Mills Mall. Yeah. And then I almost shit my pants twice trying to get to the hospital. Like, I walked straight into the hospital and went straight in the bathroom instead of checking in. And then I was in labor for a full 24 hours with her before I actually had her. And it wasn't miserable.
It wasn't, I mean, I slept a lot.
I know a lot of people say, like, because, like, just moms that I watch on YouTube, which is the weirdest thing because I have no interest in, but like I just love their like pregnancy videos and stuff. But like a lot of them, either they have like miserable pregnancies and then like wonderful labors, or the opposite.
I will honestly say I hated being pregnant all 3 times.
It scares me.
I was fucking miserable, and you can attest. I was fucking miserable all 3 times, especially with Easton. Labor with Maddie was not awful. It was fairly quick. Labor with Gemma, it was a little bit more dramatic. My epidural was not great. I could still feel a lot. Easton's labor was super fucking dramatic. It was quick. Like, literally laughed him out. Yeah. Like, somebody said something, I started giggling. The doctor was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But it was a very dramatic. We had epidural issues because it was like it would all go to one side, and then I'd have to roll over, and then like his heart rate would drop, and then it was just a whole thing. And it was bad. And then once he was born, he wasn't crying, and he wasn't breathing. Like, all of a sudden we looked down, and his arms and legs and face were like turning purple. Yeah, but it wasn't awful. I will say...
He been scaring you since day one.
I will say labor... I think, honestly, for me, the healing process after labor is worse than the actual labor itself. Yeah. For me. Now, everybody's story is different because there are people that have... Like, my sister was in fucking labor with my oldest nephew for, like, fucking months. Yeah. They had to stop her labor several times, and he was still premature. But like, damn, it's different for everybody.
Yeah, but I remember whenever you like came home with Maddie, and I came over, and you're like cleaning the fucking house, and I was like, shouldn't you be in bed?
I was young. I was resilient.
And you were like, I'm fine.
I like pushed her out and then looked at the doctors and was like, I have to pee. And they were like, no, you just feel like you have to pee. And I was like, no, I'm telling you, I have to pee. So they put like a bowl or something underneath me, and I like overflowed the fucking bowl. Nice. And then like 20 minutes later, after they pulled my epidural and stuff and I could feel shit, I was like, okay, I gotta pee now. I'm getting up, go to the bathroom, and I'm like walking around. Yeah. And they're like, what are you doing? But that's all I got.
Well, I guess. So my source, I just have one source, is artandculture.google.com. Arts and culture, sorry. There's an S in there. My first one is black cats, one of which I have. She's a little sweetie pie. And I don't know, is she still in here?
I don't know.
She got mad earlier because we lit incense, and then she got real scared of it. So cats have often been associated with good luck rather than bad luck, and were even worshipped as gods in ancient Egypt. Things took a turn, though, for our dark-haired feline friends around the Dark Ages, when in 1232 AD, a papal bull by Pope Gregory... Oh, shit. Usually I put it's IX. Usually I put in parentheses after what it is. This way I don't have to sit here and do this.
That would be 19?
I think so.
V is 5, X is 10, right?
But it's IX.
Hold on, Google. Roman numeral IX is 9. I was 9.
Right. Okay. He declared them an incarnation of Satan. And things only continued downhill for black cats from there, with the people of the Middle Ages burning them in bonfires on holy days like Shrove Tuesday, the first Sunday of Lent, and even on Easter.
What the fuck?
I read that, and I hugged my sweet baby.
I'm gonna throw up now.
The Puritans in America connected them with the practice of witchcraft. And also, the color black in general has long been associated with evil and death, which didn't help matters for our furry little friends like Amara, who had the misfortune of being born the color of night.
I literally am wearing all black. My fingernails are black. My toenails are black.
I've got my Addams Family t-shirt on today, so in true fashion, I'm not wearing anything with our podcast logo on it.
But I always am.
I did last time. I had a t-shirt on last time.
Yeah, but that's because we knew we were taking pictures and shit.
Yeah. I wore a hoodie today, all day.
Me too.
Everywhere I went.
Me too.
Anybody in line that saw me, that was behind me, because everywhere we went there was a fucking line because everybody just got their tax returns. They saw my logo.
Same.
Our logo. Knocking on wood. I've done this for as long as I can remember.
Same.
The origins and meanings of the phrase knock on wood are as varied as the cultures that use it. Some suggest roots in the Indo-European or Celtic belief that spirits, good and bad, resided in the trees, and they could be called upon for protection or chased away by knocking on their home. Others, particularly Christians, link the practice to the magical power of the wood crucifix. The most likely correct theory that historians have attributed the superstition to is a 19th century British children's game called Tiggy Touchwood, in which young players claimed immunity from being tagged by touching the nearest piece of wood, and adults picked up on the habit, and the phrase became cemented in history, with the British still saying touch wood today, which I've seen, like, there's a couple of people that I watch on YouTube that are British, and they'll say touch wood, and I've never connected it to knock on wood.
Right.
And there are some subtle and not so subtle variations. Italians touch steel rather than wood, which is thought to be related to iron horseshoes. And the Polish and Russians touch unpainted wood. The Turks knock twice, and Latin Americans knock on wood with no legs. I don't know.
Not on a table.
Yeah.
Or a chair.
Yeah, so it's got to be like a tree or something. As long as it doesn't have legs. Yeah. Alright. Throwing salt over your shoulder. I know your mom does this.
Oh, hell yeah.
I've never done this, but I also don't make it a habit to spill salt.
Right.
But yeah, like I've seen her. She'll...
Yeah, my mom has always done this.
One of the most common superstitions in the West involves tossing salt over one's shoulder. This superstition involves the idea of warding off evil, in this case, the devil himself. In Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper, Jesus' betrayer, Judas, is portrayed as having accidentally spilled salt.
I don't know that I've ever noticed that.
Since Judas was associated with doing something bad, the argument goes that ipso facto, so the salt and throwing it over your shoulder would blind the devil waiting there. And in other versions of the superstition, Old Scratch was thought to reside just over your left shoulder, ready to tempt you. The salt was thrown to the left. And others say that the sheer value of salt alone in ancient times led to the belief that to spill it was to incur bad fortune, requiring a corresponding ritual or act of penance to prevent worse loss from occurring.
I'm looking at the picture now.
Honestly, I didn't even go look it up.
Huh. I've literally never.
I just trusted that it was right.
It's on the internet. It must be true.
Right. Walking under a ladder. The superstition of not wanting to walk under a ladder has roots in Christian symbolism. The Holy Trinity of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit led to an association of the number 3 with something sacred. The triangle, with its 3 sides, came to be regarded as sacred as well, and the ladder, of course, forms a triangle. So naturally, to walk under a ladder would be to destroy the sanctity of the Trinity and thus incur punishment. The ladder's resemblance to the gallows also didn't help matters, nor did the fact of the obvious danger of something falling from it. And the Egyptians apparently thought that one might accidentally spot a god going up or down on a ladder and so avoided it, which must have made building the pyramids extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Lucky pennies. Do you pick up pennies?
If they're on heads.
See a penny, pick it up all day long. You'll have good luck. Yeah. I pick it up.
That's
heads.
quoted Jan from Greece.
Yes. The idea that finding a penny would bring good luck originates in folk beliefs. In this case, based on the idea that metal, regarded by many ancient cultures as quite valuable, was sent by the gods to protect those whom they favored. Pennies, being made from metal, find them and you'll have good fortune. But be careful, because some say the luck could break either way, and that if you find a penny tails up, you should turn it over and leave it for the next person, or you'll actually have bad luck.
I've never heard that. Like, I've never heard of flipping it over and leaving it.
No.
I've just always heard if it's on tails, leave it the fuck alone.
Right. Alright. Next, Friday the 13th. For the Romans, who attached magical significance to numbers like 7, the number 13 was seen as rather unlucky. The number 12 has frequently been seen as positive. 12 months of the year, 12 signs of the zodiac, 12 days of Christmas, 12 tribes of Israel, etc., etc., which made its neighboring number to the north negative. And like other superstitions surrounding the Last Supper, the 13th is also seen as unlucky because, once again, the great betrayer Judas was the 13th member of the dinner party that led to Christ's crucifixion. And also, on Friday the 13th of October 1307, King Philip IV, I did put that one in there, of France, was arrested and led to the death of hundreds of the Templar Knights, which I would like to get into the Templar Knights later on down the line.
Yeah.
That'll be a lot of research, but maybe we'll even bring up some Oak Island. I know Danny was...
Oh my God.
Was
we
talking about that earlier.
About this.
Alright. Next is chewing gum at night.
Which I've never heard.
I never heard of this either. So in Turkey, it is thought that if it is after dark, chewing gum is magically transformed into the flesh of the dead. And that's all that it said on the website, and so I just felt it needed an honorable mention because it was gross.
When I read through yours, I saw that, and I looked at TJ, and I was like, have you ever heard this? This and the next one you're going to talk about, too.
Yeah, tucking thumbs inside of a cemetery. Tucking your thumbs in. And this comes from Japan. The Japanese tuck in their thumbs when in a cemetery visiting the graves of dead relatives. This comes from the connection between the Japanese word for thumb and its meaning as the parent finger. And to tuck in one's thumbs inside of a cemetery then is to protect one's parents from death. So,
if that were the case, my parents would have been long ass gone. How many times have we walked into a cemetery? Like,
that's true. But it's not part of, it's not,
it's not our culture.
It's not our culture, and it's not like a superstition that we hold dear to us.
Right.
So, I'm sure if we did, then
I won't fucking do it now.
We'd be fucked. But that is all I have.
Well.
Do a bow of some sort.
It resembled a dab.
I was gonna say it resembles a dab. My microphone's right in front of my face, so I didn't want to bow directly into it.
So, we've been plugging different nonprofits.
Yeah.
Every episode here lately. And this episode is no different. Is this the one I plug in?
Yeah.
Okay. So instead of plugging a specific nonprofit this time.
Yeah.
What I want to suggest is for our listeners to And if you're a parent of a school-age child, this is going to be a little bit easier for you because a lot of schools have like portals where you can log in and like pay your balances and stuff for the cafeteria and whatnot. But if not, you can, I'm sure, contact your local school or school district, pay forward somebody's balance. Just make a donation to the school for the cafeteria, so that kids can be ensured that they're going to get to eat during the day. I don't think that if a child comes in and doesn't have their lunch packed or doesn't have money, that they're going to say, "Oh, you can't eat today." I'm sure that they provide them with something.
Yeah, I think it's like a sacked lunch.
Yeah, it's like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or some shit like that. Which, you know, parents are forgetful. We forget shit sometimes.
Shit happens, yeah. But like every kid should have like I think a hot meal or something.
The sad part of this is that school breakfast and that school lunch may be
the only meals.
that kid gets
well,
to
it's
eat.
like a lot during COVID, whenever like schools were shut down. Like I know our local school, like if your kids needed it or if, you know, whatever, they provided like
lunch.
They provided meals that could be picked up at the school.
You could go and pick them up. I think it was like once a week or maybe every twice a week or something.
It was like breakfast and lunch.
Yeah.
And like we had like a free lunch program for a while, and that end?
There was a couple years where it was free lunch and free breakfast. The school district had been granted some type of grant, where they were able to provide the kids with free lunch and breakfast every day throughout the school year, as well as the kids who were going to summer school.
Yeah.
But that did end. This is the first year that they've not done it. So in quite a few, or the past couple of years.
And I think I've recently saw how much the lunches cost now.
$3.75 if I'm not mistaken for a lunch. Breakfast is like $2.50 or some shit like that, which isn't that much. But when you're like me and you have 3 fucking kids in school,
it adds up.
Yeah, so I can get a fucking Lunchable for like $2.
Yeah. Or if you get like the knockoff Lunchables, those are $1.
Yeah.
Or maybe a little bit more now,
but yeah, pay that forward. Call your local school district, call your local school, and just figure out how you can make that donation to help make sure that a kid's getting a hot meal. Yeah. At least for lunch.
I mean, even if it's $10-$20.
Right. And I mean, like I said, on the parent portal, if you happen to have a kid in school, the parent portal a lot of times we'll have a spot that says pay it forward or something like that, where you can make a donation to the cafeteria itself so that they can apply that to a child's negative balance.
Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, if a kid has a negative balance, like at the end of the year, they won't give them their grades.
Yeah, you don't get your report card.
Yeah. That's so fucked up.
It really is. And like what sucks is like the past couple years they release grades online. Yeah. They'll lock your portal down so you can't log into it at all.
And that's
we had to do that last year because Maddie had lost the charger to her laptop halfway through the school year.
Yeah.
And so that laptop is seen as school property for the time being, and they turn their laptops in at the end of the school year every year to have them refreshed and they do something with it over the summer. Yeah. But she had lost her charger, so I had bought a charger off of Amazon instead of going through the school because I got it for like half price. They were wanting to charge me like $30-something. Yeah. And I found one for like $15 or $18 on Amazon. So I bought it, and I was like, no, you're not taking that. I paid for that, just leave it here. Plus, I think she had left it at her dad's or some shit, and we didn't physically have it. Yeah. So I ended up, they were like, well, we're not going to release her grades until you get that turned in. And I'm like, no. And so I ended up talking to them, and they were like, okay, we understand. And they unlocked my portal access so that I could see her grades. But they'll lock your whole damn shit down. But yeah, so definitely, I think that's a good idea. Yeah, and it's not. It's any local school is going to have the ability to be able to pay that forward.
Yeah. So yeah, because I've seen a lot of times where like people will raise money, or like I've seen articles where it's like anonymous donor donate or paid off like the entire balance for the whole school. Yeah. So
let's make sure these babies eat.
Right. Don't let them go hungry. They're sad. They're hungry. They need your money to eat. You should feed them.
Even though they're not chubby yours. And you might think that they can go a couple of days without a good meal, but they all need a hot meal.
Yeah. Look at them. There's a little tear in their eye.
My kids are a little chubby.
I'm a little chubby.
And they still need to eat 3 times a day, if not the 17 that they eat when they're at home. I go through more chips in my house.
And then when I come over, I'm like, I ate a bag of your chips.
I literally buy like the big boxes of the single serving chips.
Those
so
are
like,
getting so expensive.
They really are. They really are. But you know,
because we were buying those for like our lunches for work, and then we were like, these are terrible for us.
Oh, they're awful.
Yeah,
for you.
So we stopped buying them. And I keep trying to convince him to buy like baked chips because I love them. And he's like, those are gross.
Oh, I like them. But my kids offset the junk that they eat with the fact that like they drink lots of water. So
yeah, your kids do drink a lot of water.
My son prefers water over most anything else.
Yeah,
like it's either water or chocolate milk. That's it. But let me just tell you how bougie this little asshole is.
Yeah.
He says he wanted chocolate milk this morning. All we had was almond milk. Like we buy regular milk, like whole milk, and we buy almond milk. Maddie is kind of lactose intolerant in the aspect like regular milk and cheese will sometimes give her a headache.
Yeah.
And then it'll upset her stomach sometimes too.
Yeah.
So we've started buying almond milk, and then my husband uses that for his protein shakes that he drinks after his workouts and stuff too.
Yeah.
And so all we had was almond milk this morning because we ran out. And TJ, he was like, I want chocolate milk. And TJ was like, well, all we have is almond milk. And Ethan was like, I don't want almond milk, chocolate milk. Because we do the old-fashioned, like, chocolate syrup in milk.
Yeah.
Instead of just buying chocolate milk.
Right.
But, yeah, so we had to go buy regular milk today. So he ate his dinner. TJ, Gemma, and I, Maddie's over at her dad's. TJ, Gemma, and I had steak and macaroni and cheese for dinner. And Easton wanted a peanut butter and jelly and chocolate milk. Kid's so picky.
Well,
but that's all we got
for this week.
Well, get excited because the next couple of episodes are kind of cool too.
Yeah, I'm excited about them. I know I don't sound like it, but I am.
She's tired.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll see you next week, or talk to you next week.
Right.
We don't see you at all.
I mean, we might.
We might.
We don't know. It could be Joe Blow.
We're
see a Food Lion.
Yeah, that's true. But okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
I got to pee.